It was late June when everything started to feel heavier. The kind of heat that clings to your skin and makes even small tasks feel like a burden. I was already worn out from a long week at work. My feet ached, my back hurt, and all I wanted was to go home and rest. But as life would have it, my car decided to give up on me right in the middle of the grocery store parking lot. I tried to start it again and again, but the engine wouldn't budge. It just made that awful clicking sound. I sat there, staring at the steering wheel, holding back tears. I didn't know what was wrong with it. Truthfully, I didn't even know how to check under the hood. I could barely refill windshield wiper fluid. I felt completely helpless. I called roadside assistance, but they said it could take up to 3 hours. The sun was still high and brutal, and I had bags of melting groceries in the trunk. That's when I remembered. My nephew Josh was staying with us for the summer. Josh had just turned 22 and was studying mechanical engineering. He was always tinkering with gadgets, pulling things apart just to put them back together again. Lately, he'd been helping his professor restore an old vintage car. If anyone could figure out what was wrong with mine, it was Josh. So I called him. "Hey, Aunt Caroline, what's up?" he answered, cheerful as ever. I explained what happened, a little embarrassed, unsure if I was asking too much. But he didn't hesitate for a second. "I'll be right there," he said. When he pulled into the parking lot 20 minutes later, I almost laughed out loud. He looked like he'd walked straight out of a repair shop. Grease-stained shirt, baseball cap on backwards, hands already smudged with oil. "Let's see what we're working with," he said, walking straight to the hood. I stood back and watched as he poked around with confidence, mumbling to himself, eyes focused. He looked so sure of himself, so grown up. It was strange and beautiful all at once. About 20 minutes later, he shut the hood and smiled.
"Try it now," he said.
I turned the key, and the engine started like nothing had ever gone wrong. My jaw dropped. "Josh, what did you do?" He shrugged like it was no big deal. "Loose wire near the ignition coil. Nothing too crazy." Nothing too crazy? He had just saved me from hours in the sun and a pricey towing bill. I gave him the biggest hug and told him I'd make his favorite dinner that night, my not-so-famous, slightly burnt, but much-loved fake ziti. Back home, he helped me carry in the groceries. I kept thanking him, but he just smiled and brushed it off. "Really, it was nothing," he said. But I could tell he appreciated the gratitude. That night over dinner, we ended up talking for hours. I asked about his classes, what he was learning, and what he wanted to do after graduation. He told me about his dream, not just to open a garage, but to build a space where people could come and learn to fix their own things, especially folks who couldn't afford a mechanic. "It should be for the community," he said. "A place where people feel welcome." I looked at him, truly looked, and saw the thoughtful, kind man he was becoming. I remembered him as that scrawny teenager who used to leave soda cans on my coffee table and play video games until 3 in the morning. Now here he was talking about giving back. After dinner, we sat on the porch and kept talking until the stars came out. I couldn't remember the last time I had such a relaxed, honest conversation with someone. It made me feel lighter somehow, like I was finally breathing a little easier. The next morning, Josh asked if he could check the car again. "Just to be sure," he said. I handed him the keys, and he went out into the driveway while I stayed inside, doing laundry and wiping down counters. A few hours passed, and he came back in with a sheepish smile. "Okay, so I may have gone a little overboard," he said. "What do you mean?" "Come outside." I followed him, not expecting much. But when I stepped into the driveway, I stopped in my tracks. The car looked different, shinier, cleaner. The dents I had ignored for years were smoothed out. The windshield wipers were new. Every detail was tidied and polished like he'd taken it to a professional detailer. "Josh," I breathed. "You didn't have to do all this." "I wanted to," he said. "Kind of my way of saying thanks for letting me stay here this summer." I was touched in a way I didn't know how to explain. Then, as if that wasn't enough, he pulled something out of his backpack. "I've been working on a project," he said. "It's a car diagnostic tool. Built it myself. Want to test it." It was a small device with wires and a tiny screen. He plugged it under the dashboard, tapped a few buttons, and suddenly the screen came alive with numbers and information. It tells you what might go wrong before it becomes a problem, he explained. I was stunned. You made this. Still working out the bugs, he said, but I think it could really help people. He gave it to me to keep and asked if I'd take notes about how it worked. I couldn't believe the intelligence, the care, the thought behind it all. I was so proud of him, I felt like my heart would burst. Over the next few weeks, Josh became something of a local hero. Word spread fast in our little neighborhood. He could fix anything. Neighbors brought by bikes, lawnmowers, broken fans. He never asked for money, just smiled and said, "Happy to help." I watched him with quiet pride, knowing the small miracle he gave me was only a fraction of what he was offering the world. But the most unforgettable moment came later that month. I came home from work one evening and saw Josh in the driveway, sitting beside Mr. Patterson, our elderly neighbor. Mr. Patterson's old Ford hadn't started in years. He couldn't afford repairs and had been riding the bus for as long as I could remember. That day, Josh had fully restored the car. He'd been working on it in secret for weeks, digging up parts from junkyards and repairing everything by hand. When Mr. Patterson turned the key and the engine came alive, he broke down in tears. He hugged Josh like he was his own grandson. It was the kind of hug you never forget, the kind that carries 1,000 words. I stood by the window and cried too. That night, Josh and I sat on the porch again, watching the sky turn gold. "You really went all out," I said. He nodded. "I just think, if I can make someone's life a little easier, it's worth it." I told him how proud I was, how lucky I felt to have him around. "You always believed in me," he said softly. "Even when I broke your vacuum trying to fix it." We both laughed, remembering the mess he made that day. I had forgotten how young he was back then, and how far he'd come. That summer, Josh didn't just fix my car. He changed the way I saw the world. He reminded me that kindness doesn't have to be big or loud. It can be quiet. It can be fixing a dent, replacing wipers, or sitting beside someone who needs help. After he went back to college, the house felt too quiet. I missed the noise, the laughter, the clinking of tools. But he left behind more than just his toolbox. He left behind inspiration. And every time I turn my car key and hear the engine hum to life, I think of Josh. And I smile,